Okay, in this video we're going to be checking out the BetaFPV Beta65X. This is the smaller version of the Beta75X that I reviewed I think about a week or a week and a half ago. Obviously major differences here, obviously more than just the size. So you got the 75mm motor on the bigger one here and 65mm on this one. They're both 2S brushless, but the motors are different. So basically you got the size of the frame is different, so 65mm here, 75mm on the 75X, and then you got different motors here. I think you got 1102s or 1103s on the 75X, and then smaller motors 0802 on the 65X, still 2S, but this motor here is like a whopping 17,500 kV 0802 motor. So pretty crazy. 31mm prop. The flight controller and ESC board is the same, so you got an F4 flight controller with BetaFlight OSD. You have a 4-in-1 ESC board, exact same setup as the 75X, 6 amp, 4-in-1 ESC, BLLES, bursting to 10 amps. And then the FPV system is also the same. It's the same Z02 camera with the video transmitter board. I think it's a 200 milliwatts power switchable, and it uses smart audio. This has the same camera mount inside there because it's the same FPV system, same canopy, so you're limited to the fixed 35-degree camera tilt here, and it's not adjustable. And also the same Z02 camera, which I didn't particularly like on the 75X. Same issues with this one. Pretty much everything here is the same as the bigger one, just a smaller frame and smaller motors. And on this one here, instead of going with the XM Plus with the diversity antennas, they have just the regular XM receiver with a single antenna, and it was just flopping around here inside when it came in the box. So I put a zip tie here, put a little heat shrink here just to keep it out of the way. It seemed to work fine. Should be fine for park flying. Just keep the antenna out like this and it should be totally fine. Now another difference here is on the power system or the battery system. The 75X was using an XD30 with 2S LiPo nanotech 300 milliamp hour. Here they are actually going, well, it's kind of hard, a little bit difficult to explain here, but I think this is going to come with these batteries here. These are the BetaFPV branded 1S LiPos, 260 milliamps with the PH2 connector, and then they have this special 2-plug connector here. You slide in 2 batteries like this, one and one, so you get basically turn into a 2S. And I believe this is the battery that's going to be included in this particular package. However, they sent this battery to try out. This is a newer version, I guess, or updated, larger version. 300 milliamp hours instead of 260 milliamp hours, so you can see basically it's a little bit longer and obviously a little bit more weight, so but you get a little bit more flight time as well. I'm going to show you 2 flight demos at the end here. The first one's going to be on the 300 milliamp hour setup here, so basically 2 of these for flight 1, and then flight 2 is going to be the 260 milliamp hours. So in terms of performance, you get a little bit less sag on this one. I mean, obviously it's going to be really hard to tell. The difference is not super apparent, but it's a little bit less sag on this one and a little bit more flight time on 300 milliamp hours. So it's, at the time on the website, it looks like this is the one that's being included, the 260. So you might want to see if this upgrade is available. Perhaps by the time you see this video, this particular upgrade will be available as an option. I would recommend getting the 300. In terms of flight characteristics, I think it flies better on the 300 with a little bit more weight, less battery sag, and a little bit more flight time. I got like maybe 215 to 230 flight time in this one, and on the 260 I was getting like under 2 minutes. I was getting low battery warnings at about a minute and a half, and then landing about a minute 45 to minute 50. So if you're more interested in flight time, I would look into these little bigger batteries, give you a little bit more flight time, a little bit more, or a little bit less battery sag on the punch outs and stuff, because these motors are pretty amp hungry. Okay, so let me give you a weight measurement here. This is just the drone by itself, 29 grams. Then you throw on the 260s, and we're getting up to 43. And then if you want to use the 300s, we're getting up to about 44.8 15.26. So looks like the weight difference here between say the two 300s is at 15.25, and the two 260s are at about 14 grams. So it's about a gram and a quarter more for the 300. So hopefully they'll be selling these. I think that a little bit extra weight is actually worth it in terms of flight performance. You'll see the two flights, and I don't know. You guys can let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree with me. Okay, so I'll go ahead and show you some flight demo footage, and I will actually talk a little bit about the what I experienced flying this around versus the 75X during the flight demo. Okay, so the out-of-the-box tune here is not too bad. I did try to do a little bit of acro in here, but if you're trying to do anything beyond flips and rolls, like something a little bit more sophisticated like split S's or power loops or anything like that, I wouldn't recommend trying it with this one. You get a lot of yaw washouts, and it just gets all out of sorts. I think it's just because of the way the ducks work and the way Betaflight handles the way the props work with ducks. So in terms of just basically flying around kind of fast, making quick turns, it's totally fine doing that. It's very agile. It's not very acrobatic beyond flips and rolls. You can see here, yeah, it's you can get a lot of sorts once you start doing more acro. But if you're just trying to fly it around in straight lines, like for example doing gates, that kind of stuff, it's very maneuverable, very agile. Should be fine for that kind of stuff. If you want to do a little bit more acro stuff, I would recommend getting the bigger 75X. It's going to handle this kind of stuff a little bit better than this one. But you know, ultimately at the end, this is a tiny wheel up, even though it's brushless and 2S and everything. If you're thinking that this is going to fly like a 5-inch, if you have that kind of expectation, it doesn't fly anything like that. So if that's what you want, then I would go with something without ducks, like a 2-inch brushless micro instead of something like this. Yeah, because the flying experience is quite a bit different for this type of a tiny wub versus something that doesn't have any ducks on it. So this is my recommendation. You see here, just flying around in straight lines, making sharp turns. I think this is probably the best for this type of, for this size at least, and the 2S and everything. Everything just seems to work fine, and the tune's good. Yeah, your flight time isn't going to be super long here. I think as soon as you get past about 2 minutes, you're going to probably get a low battery warning, and it'll be time to land and swap out your batteries. Okay, so this is a flight on 2 of the 260 mAh 1S lipos, and I don't know if you guys can tell, but for me at least, it just feels like the 300s were overall faster and had more, I guess, punch out ability, just a little more power. I think it's just because the bigger 300 mAh lipos are able to provide more current to the motors and ESCs. I'm really interested to hear your opinions in the comments below. I think that's why going with a bigger battery, even though it weighs about a little over a gram more, is going to be better for you here. And yeah, just getting an example there, just trying to get out of the little dive, just didn't feel like I had the power to do that. So I would highly recommend going with bigger 300s, or even something maybe even slightly bigger, 350s, if anything like that there exists. I think the 250s and 260s are just going to be too small. Just don't provide enough current to really get this up to speed. I mean, obviously you saw that in the first flight demo, it can go a lot faster, I think. I mean, it's not that huge of a difference, but for me it feels like it's noticeably faster on the bigger battery, even though it's carrying around more weight. So interested to hear what you guys have to say about that. Comment below what you guys think in terms of the difference between the two flights that you see here. And yeah, if you guys are interested in checking this out, there'll be a link in the description to their site. I think it's out of pre-order now, so you should be able to buy it. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.